Hello, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that thinks that Homer Simpson and Kaiser Wilhelm II had a lot in common, particularly when they both said, "Screw you, Flanders." Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Freeman's Farm, 1777 from Worthington, old school war games. In Freeman's Farm, 1777 from Worthington, two players are going to take on the role of either the British or the American armies during the American Revolution, specifically during the Saratoga campaign. Now, what's going to happen in this game is you've got a map of the Freeman's Farm battlefield. It's also got positions for your units. The American units are pretty much static, though they do have a little bit of movement options. And the British, of course, being the ones that advanced on the battlefield, they actually have a few more options on where to move their troops. You have both infantry columns, which are little rectangular little rectangular blocks, rather, and then you have the artillery, which are little cylinders, and you also do have skirmishers, which are the cubes. The Americans are blue, the British are red with their green German allies. Now, each side have various formation cards representing the different formations on the board. Now, the formations, where they exist, it's printed right on the game board exactly which unit they are and the different positions that they can occupy. So you've got the different cards that represent them, and each of those formation units have their own morale track. You also have general cards. These generals have special abilities. The Americans they've got Horatio Gates and Benedict Arnold. The British only have one general, and that is Gentleman Johnny Burgoyne. Now, each player has a stack of 15 activation cards. These are cards that correspond to the different units you can activate. And on your formation cards, it essentially says how many cards that the deck has and how many momentum cubes that each card can offer. So you've got a hand of 3 cards that you draw from that deck, and on your turn, you're going to go ahead and you're going to play one of those cards that corresponds to one of your formations. You can then consult your formation card, and it can say what it can do. You can either move with that if they have that option. You can attack different units on the opposing side if they are within range. That is to say, if they've moved to certain positions, depending on your own position. So you go ahead, you figure out what you want to do. Now, critically, too, the card is also going to have a number of momentum tokens. These are black cubes. You grab that number of black cubes. This is kind of a currency in the game. Now, once you've played the card, collected those momentum cubes, and you've determined which unit is going to move or fire, you go ahead and you move it. Now, if you do choose to engage in combat, you roll a number of die, as says on the card. You're going to roll those die. You're going to consult a little chart that's right there on the game board on both sides. Typically, you want to roll double sixes. If you can roll double sixes, then you're going to destroy one of the enemy's units. You are also going to, you may destroy, if you roll, I think, Snake Eyes, you may destroy one of your own. But you can also damage their morale, take their morale down further. Because again, as soon as you activate a formation, however you activate it, you have to lose 1 morale. Now, if you are at one of the key objective locations, either the mill or the farm, you can go ahead and attack the unit right opposing you, and if they take a hit, they essentially lose that skirmisher unit, the cube, and you can replace it with your own. After you've resolved combat, you can go ahead and spend momentum cubes to buy tactics cards. Now, these tactic cards are cards that have timing on it. It says exactly when you can play it, and these allow you to play dirty tricks on your enemy. They also give you certain advantages, but you can go ahead and you can buy those at that time. Finally, you're going to draw another activation card from your deck into your hand, so again, you will have 3 cards the next time you play it. So players are going to go back and forth. They're going to fight. They're going to be moving their units along into these positions, and you are going to be trying to take those objective points of the farm and the mill. And so there's a lot of battle, a lot of back and forth, jockeying for position to get to a place where you can take or hold on to those spots. Now, if ever your morale gets down to a certain number, usually 5, they usually start at 10, they get down to about 5, you have to start rolling morale checks. You have to roll to see whether or not your formations break. Essentially, rolling die. If the die roll is, I think, greater than your morale, then you essentially broke. That unit is gone. It's out of the game. That unit is broken. It can no longer participate in the battle. You can still play their cards for the momentum cubes, but they can no longer affect the battle. You can also spend momentum cubes to help you do a reroll. You can also voluntarily take out blocks to do a reroll. And critically, you can use your general special abilities. And one of them is if one of your units is broken, you can do a reroll for a morale check to try to keep it back in there. The game lasts 15 game rounds. Each side gets to go 15 times. As soon as one side destroys 3 complete formations of the other side, then they win! Freeman's Farm, 1777. So I gotta say, Freeman's Farm, 1777 is a very unusual war game. It's unusual in that a lot of war games are built around the idea, around the concept of maneuver, right? You want to get around the enemy, flank the enemy. You want to move. You want to keep that idea of movement. And here, movement is prearranged. And in that sense, it's almost like a real battlefield. You only in a tactical situation, you only really do have limited choices very often in actual battles, and this kind of reflects that, especially when you're moving with these kind of large, bulky Revolutionary War kind of armies that didn't have a lot of flexibility. They were just kind of regiments. You didn't have a lot of coordination between artillery and cavalry and infantry. You don't really have cavalry in this game, but I digress. But it kind of simulates that. And initially you're looking at the board and you're thinking, this doesn't look like it's going to be that much fun because it doesn't look like it offers that many choices. How wrong you are! This game offers just some phenomenal choices. This game has some great moments where you are... you're trying to decide, okay, do I want to attack this guy? Do I want to kind of get in on the... attack at the mill, or do I want to kind of hit these guys that are advancing over here because they're really putting pressure on me? They might actually take out one of my formations. That's going to screw me over. Do I use my general's ability to try to do a morale check, or is that guy just screwed anyway because his morale's so low? Do I do that? The game is just filled with good stuff, and especially like the British player, he's got different paths that he can take there, and that's interesting too. There's just a lot of really, really neat things that go on here. And those tactical cards, I really like the tactical card system too, because again, there's a choice. Do you spend the momentum on you've got 3 face-up tactical cards. You take one, you put another one out there, so you can see what the 3 are. And some of these things are really nasty and really good. And like at one point, playing a game, at one point, I drew a card that essentially lets you negate somebody else's card. And after that, the other guy kind of didn't buy cards for a while until I played that one, because he knew if he bought a good card, it would just get screwed, and he didn't want to waste his tokens on a bad card. So there's that. But again, do you spend your tokens on those tactics cards, or do you spend them on rerolls? It's really, really got a lot of choices, and it's smart, and it's fun. And what I like best about this game is it's quick. It plays in about an hour at most. It's just, and it's solid. Not hard to learn at all. There were a few questions when I started, like, okay, how does this work? How does this work? And then a careful reading of the rules. Oh, got it, yeah. And so I was a huge fan. I played this with Sam, and Sam and I absolutely loved this game. This is really one of the best kind of, I don't want to call it a light war game because it's not light. There's a lot of choices here, but quick war games, it's really good. If you're in the mood for a good 2-player quick war game, this, I got to be honest, is one of the best. I really, really like this game a lot. I frankly cannot recommend it high enough. The Discriminating Gamer says 100% buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Wargame Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer, and I have a very important question for you, ladies and gentlemen. Where did George Washington keep his armies? In his sleeveys.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
Hello, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show.